So, there I was, completely emotional because I realized that I had literally been, for all intents and purposes, trying to do Reiki since I was a kid and didn't even realize it. So it was like this huge part of like who I am and what I do and everything that I believe in. And it was just, it was an experience. It really was. It really struck me hard. And ever since then, I've since achieved my second Reiki master. So I have level 1 twice. I have level 2 twice. I have master twice. I also I'm a animal Reiki practitioner. I've done, I'm trained to do Reiki on animals, and I'm also a crystal Reiki master. So I can use crystals and enhance my Reiki that way as well. So I have quite a bit of Reiki. And I want to say, like I said, this is the first thing that I've ever done on my own, and getting that first certificate was huge. Like it was absolutely huge. Achieving my master, that was like mind-boggling. Like I never ever would have expected that I would actually finish that. And it really showed me that this is what I'm meant to do. This is that important to me. It means that much to me. That not only did I finish my level 1, but I got all the way through all 3 levels and got my master. And then I did it again. And then I took 2 more kinds of Reiki. And I have intentions on doing more. I want to do Jokuden Reiki, which is the traditional Japanese style. And I want to learn Holy Fire Reiki as well. So I'm an open book when it comes to Reiki, and I'm like a sponge too, because I just absorb everything surrounding it. I've learned so many different ways that Reiki can be used, and so many different things that you can actually like do with it, that it just blows my mind. Like, I don't think people realize how useful it actually is to have the ability to do Reiki. And I'm fully aware, or I fully believe that at least one person in every family should have the ability to do Reiki. At least. I intend to teach my grandkids Reiki when they're old enough to be able to do so. And preferably, I'd be able to teach my kids too, so that they have access to it when I'm not around. Because obviously I'm not always going to be there. But if one of my grandbabies falls and skins their knee, a little bit of Reiki might help them feel better. And, if they're used to it with me, and then mom can do it, how much better is that going to be? So, as I said, Reiki does translate to universal life force energy. And this is an energy that exists in every living being, past, present, and future. We all have it. Okay? So because we all have it, past, present, and future, we are actually able to use Reiki to affect past, present, and future. Every time I fill my water bottle, I put Reiki into it. I wear a necklace that's infused with Reiki and is inscribed with one of the Reiki symbols that I wear against my skin, because those symbols are sacred, and I know you can find them all. All you gotta do is go online, and it's not hard to Google Reiki symbols and see what they look like and what they are and whatever and how they're used, and all that information is out there. But for me, Reiki is sacred. That's not how you pass it on. So I won't share those symbols unless I'm sharing them with students. But the idea that Reiki uses for healing is that an illness occurs, or some injuries as well, occur when the life force energy in a person's body is out of balance somewhere. And so you might find there's an abundance of energy in one place, but there's almost no Reiki energy in another place. So by channeling Reiki into somebody, it helps to balance that out. And then by balancing that out, you're able to help them heal from that illness, whatever it is. Like, for example, I know like Western Reiki uses chakras. Okay, Japanese Reiki does not. Chakras don't exist there in their system, in their beliefs. But Western Reiki, which is what I've learned so far, does use chakras. So the belief is in Ayurveda, so Indian medicine and all that, that if your throat chakra, for example, which governs communication, is out of balance, then you may end up with a sore throat. You could lose your voice. You could end up with throat issues like thyroid issues, because since that's in there. But you could also end, like, that's indicating that maybe you're having difficulty communicating something that's important to you, or something that matters. Like maybe you're having difficulty standing up for yourself at work, or there's something that your partner is doing, for example, that you really want them to stop doing or do differently because it's causing you pain, but you don't have the ability to speak up for yourself in that instance either. So that's all related to your throat chakra. So if your throat chakra's out, it can have like a lot of effect on you, but you can use Reiki to rebalance that energy, and then those issues will slowly dissipate and you'll be able to speak your truth, and your sore throat will go away, and your thyroid will be functioning more accurately, or at least functioning a little better, and that's just one example, right? Excuse me. So Reiki energy has this ability to balance not only physical ailments but mental ones as well. So if you are struggling with anxiety, or which I do, okay, so I know for like in my experience this does work. But if you're struggling with anxiety or depression or any other kind of mental illness that, typically you'd have to see a psychiatrist for, well, I'm still going to tell you, you definitely need to see a psychiatrist and continue to see your psychiatrist. I'm also totally okay with treating the mental issues that you're experiencing as a way of helping. And between the medication and the Reiki, you're going to get better results than if you're just using medication. If you combine medication and talk therapy and Reiki for mental illnesses, you will have the most amazing results, because the three of them combined work so well together. They enhance each other, and that's like the most effective way of dealing with it. My partner is diabetic, and one of the things that we've learned is that if I give him Reiki in and around his pancreas, his sugar levels are better. We don't know why. We can't explain it. But if I don't do Reiki on him, on a regular basis, you can tell. Like if I skip a few sessions, for example, you can absolutely tell there's an absolute difference. I've read stories of people who, again, were diabetic and received Reiki on a regular basis, and their blood sugar stabilized, and they were able to reduce their medication. They were no longer as reliant on it. In one instance, the person was able to come off of insulin and just go with regular pills to take every day, which she was totally fine with doing because she didn't have to stab herself every day. So there's lots of possibilities. There's lots of things that Reiki can do. I mentioned past, present, and future, so we'll go with future first. Okay, so say you're expecting. Okay, for example, my Mondays at work are the busiest days of the week. Like, hands down, busiest day. Everybody wants our help. And I mean, I work in customer service and we're not open over the weekend. So, you know, of course, you know, people call us on Monday and they're like, well, you weren't open on the weekend and I need help. And that's fine. Like, I'm totally, I love my job. I love being able to help these people. But I know that come Monday, I'm going to be stressed because it's going to be a crazy day. So I'm stressed going in, right? So I started experimenting and sending Reiki ahead of time. So one of our symbols that we can use allows us to send Reiki across time and space. And so I used that symbol and sent Reiki energy to Monday. And it's not hard to do by any stretch of the imagination. Like, basically it's like, okay, I'm visualizing myself sitting at my desk and I'm giving myself, in my imagination, I'm also standing behind myself, giving myself Reiki. Does that work? Yeah. Because I'm not stressed when I get there in the morning. I'm already chill and I'm not, you know, I'm expecting it's going to be a busy day, but I'm not panicking over it, which is what was happening before. You know, and throughout the course of the day, I stay chill. I don't get wound up. Or if I do, it's just brief and then it's gone again. Okay. That works really well. I love that. So then I start experimenting with sending Reiki into the past. And I mean, I have a lot of childhood trauma, don't get me wrong. Like, I do. I have a lot. And we're not going to get into that here. But, like, I started sending Reiki to myself in the past, at the times that the trauma was happening. And over time, with being able to do that, I've been able to heal from it a lot better than I had. And I was stalled on that, you know, like I wasn't getting anywhere. I'd still wake up in the middle of the night bawling, you know, even all this time later, I was still really, really struggling. So by sending Reiki to myself in the past, I provided that extra bit of healing for my young self that I needed. And it affected me now because I'm not as traumatized by those things. I mean, I'm still traumatized, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's not gone. I can't like change the past by any stretch of the imagination. That's not how this works. But I can send that healing energy to myself in the past, and that allows me to heal more frequently, or sorry, not more frequently, but more effectively here in this time. Right? Yeah. So, excuse me, I apologize for that. No, I'm hoping that maybe this video has provided some clarity on what Reiki is and how it works, a little bit about my experiences with it. I realized I didn't get into like a lot of the nuts and bolts of Reiki because honestly, it's hard to explain. Like even after, you know, all this time of practicing Reiki, I still have a hard time explaining it to someone else. It's like, it's just beyond words for me. So I'm really trying. So do expect there's going to be another video in the near future where we're going to discuss a little bit more about Reiki. We're going to look at distance Reiki. We'll do a little bit on animal Reiki, a little bit on the crystal Reiki, and we're going to study a little bit of tarot. I'm going to do some reviews. I have this brand new beautiful set of runes that I was given as a gift, and they arrived here a couple days ago, and I'm just thrilled to have them. So maybe I'll share those. I don't know. We'll see. In the meantime, I do hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful day, and lots of love. Bye. It didn't stop. Hi. Okay, so just a quick note from my first video that I did, the intro video. I decided I'm going to change the name of this channel to the Reiki Witch. So the adjustment has been made to that video where I've noted that. But just so that you're aware, I am the Reiki Witch. Okay, so today I wanted to talk a little bit about Reiki, actually, because I know the questions are going to come at some point, and since it is, there we go, such a huge part of my practice and what I do, and even who I am as a person, I wanted to kind of discuss it a little bit. So, I did mention in my intro video that I've been a Reiki master for 3 years, or almost 3 years, and I have. I did my first, I did my level 1, level 2, and masters between I want to say it was like oh my goodness, I don't even know. Okay, it would have been January, February or so, up to it took me a little over a year. So I guess I got my Reiki master would have been August of 2001 or 2001. Oh my goodness, 2020, right? No, 2019. August of 2019. Okay, I really need to like look at my certificates before I do this next time. Oh my goodness. So like I mentioned, my best friend decided that she wanted to learn how to do Reiki because it seemed like such a great idea, and it seemed like it was such a healing thing, and it was it was a thing that she'd been thinking about for a little while, and then she ran across a course that she was able to do, and then I get, hey, I want you to do this with me, and I was like, okay. Now the thing is, okay, if we backtrack like 15 years, possibly even before I met my best friend, I had learned about the existence of Reiki, and I really, really wanted to learn it, but financially, as a single mom who was going to school and working my butt off trying to, take care of 4 kids, and trying to, work all the time, and I was in school full time and trying to, it was just a lot. So I was not able to take Reiki courses at the time, and of course my best friend did not know this. This was actually like, I'm pretty sure it started before we actually met, so we're going back to like 2003, 2004, around there is when it started. So that's fine. So when she was like, hey, let's do this together, I was fine with that, because I really did want to learn Reiki, and I couldn't figure out why. I just knew that it seemed like there was something about the system that just spoke to me, I guess would be a good way to look at it. It was like I felt like, especially when I started learning, that feeling increased, but it felt like a part of me already knew what to do and already had been trying to do it since my childhood. Okay, so I don't know how much you know about Reiki. Okay, but just a little aside here. Essentially, Reiki translates as universal life force energy, which everything on the planet has. At least every living thing on the planet has it. So what happens with Reiki is when you have your attunement, it essentially opens up the channels in your system, like in your physical body, that allow that Reiki energy to flow through you, so that you can, you can direct it into other people or circumstances or whatever it is. You can literally Reiki everything. Okay, and it comes out through your hands. Okay, so like magic hands. So when I was a kid, long before I ever learned anything about Reiki, like we're going back. Well, we're not going to tell you because you don't need to know how old I am, but when I was a kid, when I was like 5-6 years old, I was a huge tree climber. My mom hated it. She hated it. I was not allowed to climb trees. And man, I did that anyways. Okay, I was going to go climb trees, and it did not matter what anybody said to me. I was going to do it anyways. I was just going to be out of the sight of the house when I did it so that my mom couldn't see me doing it. So here I am climbing these trees. And I mean, mostly they're pine trees because where I grew up in that particular area, there's a lot of pine trees. So there was a lot of sap and stickiness. So of course my mom always knew. But at 6 years old, I was dumb enough at that point to believe that I was getting away with it when I really wasn't. But anyways, besides the point. Very first time that I climbed a tree on the base that we were living on, because I grew up with my parents in the military. The very first time I climbed a tree out there, I had never climbed a pine tree. I don't think I had even climbed a tree at that point, because like where we lived previous, there really wasn't any trees around, and I really wasn't allowed at 5 years old or younger to be outside by myself, so it was never really a thing. But when we moved bases, we actually had a backyard, and it had like this little wooded area that was like right there, and my brother and I had all this independence that we didn't have before. So there I am, up the tree. Why not? So I'm in the tree, and it's covered in sap, and it's all over my hands, and like I'm sticky, and I don't know what sap is at this point in my life, right? So I'm determined the tree is bleeding. Like I had no other explanation for it in my 6-year-old mind. So I start putting my hands on the tree to try to put the blood back in, and I kept trying to like will the tree to heal and to not leak sap, right? It was like, this is the tree's blood, I don't want it coming out. So it was like I had to touch the tree and like put my hands on it, and it was like trying to force some kind of healing to happen wherever I put my hands, and it was like in my imagination, if I put my hands on the tree here, that healing that I'm trying to give the tree is just going to go everywhere, right? 6 years old. So then I learned Reiki when I'm considerably older. And I even have like an idea at this point of what Reiki actually is, when my best friend asks me to do this course with her. So then I get through, and it feels like it's the most natural thing in the world. It just feels like it's like I was meant to do this. And let me tell you something about me, okay? I am the world's worst person for finishing a project, okay? Like, hands down, I can get so involved with something, and then after a while, it just kind of falls away, okay? I've tried so many, and it's like a mental health thing, and, that's fine, that's a completely different subject, but, like, finishing things has always been a problem for me. Like, following through on things like that and completing them has always been a problem for me ever since I was little. Like, I don't recall the last time I actually finished something that I was directing, that I was in control of. Okay, so then I got my level 1 for Reiki, and I was given the certificate, and I cried. Like, I cannot tell you. Like, I cried for like an hour because I accomplished something. And the reason I say I accomplished it, even though my best friend and I started together, is that I finished my first certificate weeks before she did. Weeks before. And I know she started her level 2. But I don't think... I'm positive she did not complete that. That was kind of the end for her. The format of the course wasn't working for her. So then I, moved back home, and I'm living in a house with my dogs and my random rescued kitten. And, I'm in this house, just me and them, and none of my kids are at home anymore. I'm alone in a very small town. I just needed, to be alone for a while, and I was. And then my best friend reaches out to me, and she's like, well, I started doing this Reiki course with this mutual friend of ours who was a Reiki master. And I'm not going to be able to do it. Like, I'm not going to have the time to put in to the course. She's like, I couldn't even go to the first week. Everybody's introducing themselves because not all of us know each other, and I can't do it. I'm like, okay. So she gifted me the course. She talked to the instructor, and the instructor agreed to transfer everything to me. So at this point, I've already got my Reiki master from the first course that I did. But now I'm doing a second one. Okay, so I go through the process again, and I've got my second level 1. And I don't think we had started level 2 yet, but I was gifted all 3 levels. So I don't think we had started it yet. This is Harley. This is my baby dog. He's not really a baby, as you can see, but he certainly thinks he is. Yes, I love you too. So I'm out with my partner, walking down the street one day, and the city here, because I'm out of that small little town and everything, and I'm in the city. I've moved in with my partner, and whatever. So we're walking the street, and they're doing some tree cutting, as cities do. And it was really, really bothering me. Like, it's really causing me issues. Like, why is this, like, it just hurts, to see all these beautiful trees being cut down. And I walked over to the one tree, and all that was left of it was a stump that was like 4 feet high. And they were going to take it out. And it was like that same instinct that I had when I was 6. I had to heal the tree. Now I know that, giving a tree that's basically just, half a trunk, giving a Reiki is not going to heal it. It's not going to make that tree continue to live. It's not going to change anything in that sense. But I did it anyways. I couldn't help myself. I gave this tree Reiki. And all of a sudden, this memory of me trying to heal the tree when I was a kid just comes flooding back into my head, and I just bawled. Middle of the sidewalk, city construction guys, whatever, all over the place. Everybody's staring at me. My partner's looking at me like, what is wrong with you? And I couldn't vocalize it. I could not say what the problem was. It wasn't that it was a problem either. It was just I was so overcome by, I was trying, without realizing it, I was trying to do Reiki when I was 6. I didn't even know. I'd never heard of it. I didn't know anything about it. And then, here I am all these years later trying to do exactly the same thing, only this time I have Reiki.